What's good, Wizards fans? It's your host, the real Ed Oliver and Brandon Scott. Today we're going to react to Deni Avdija and Bilal Coulibaly's Media Day press conferences. Let's get to it.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
So thank you guys for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get podcasts. Got my guy Brandon Scott with me, of course, and then the real Ed Oliver myself. Let's get to it. We're continuing the Media Day press conferences. All right, so Deni, I'll ask you which quote stood out to you first. What quote stood out to you first from Deni Avdija's press conference?
Starting out the gate, man. He says, quote unquote, I want to improve my shooting percentage and be a more efficient shooter from behind the arc. So definitely good news, man, because obviously we say it time and time again, man, that if he can add a consistent offensive game, man, we are cooking with grease, man. Obviously, we know what he can do defensively, but, you want to see him putting that work in. Now, that's the biggest thing. I mean, that's the only thing we're waiting on when it comes to Deni. So that is definitely a quote that I like, man, because he's working on his game. Now, obviously, he worked on last year. You didn't see too much of an improvement. He changed up trainers. So we'll see, how far he comes along. But, with him getting injured and spending more time over here and putting time in the gym, hopefully he works on it, man, because like I said, this is a big year for Deni, man, because it is a contract year. I think that we were just talking about it. The deadline is around the 23rd of this month for contract extensions. You've seen some signed already in the NBA. So, do they extend them before the season starts? It remains to be seen. He is a restricted free agent after the season. So they still have the ability to match any offer for him. You hold his bird right. So, they don't really have to. It could be one of those, see how far he goes this year and then go from there. But who knows? He could make a big improvement to the point where they could work out a contract deal before the season starts. So we'll see, man. We'll see how the preseason unfolds, and we'll go from there. But yeah, that's definitely a quote that I like, man, because that's the big thing about Deni, man. If you ask anybody about Deni Avdija, what do you expect for him to change as far as the evolution of his game? A consistent offensive game and a consistent three-point shot. Because we were just talking about the last episode, man. Look, the defense are going to center on Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma. So Deni's got to step up and have that shot because there's going to be a lot of open looks for him. So it behooves him to find that open, consistent three-point shot.
Yeah, so and we've heard this every year from Deni, talking about the shot improving. He talked about using both hands as well. So I'm not gonna say it's a tape recorder, but it's something that we've heard from him time and time again, each off season. Yeah. Each media day, he's saying the same thing. So I want to see him to finally do it, shooting the ball better and using his left hand instead of just using his right hand, where guys are just, stopping him from going left. And, he kind of puts his back to the defense, bringing the ball up. So I want to see him improve on that. Finishing around the rim. I thought he improved last year, finishing around the rim, making layups. Still needs to improve in that area, making layups, just dunking the ball, going up there and dunking and finishing strong. I think that's somewhere he definitely still needs to improve. Shooting the ball, he got worse. That was the weird thing about it, because he got Drew Hanlon as a trainer. He regressed as a shooter. So that was odd to me. Shot 29%. He just has to shoot the ball better. And that is the X factor for him getting a new contract. You just can't be that bad of a shooter and get a contract extension before the deadline. So I think that's something that Will Dawkins and Travis Schlenk and Michael Winger want to see from him. Can he do that? Can he improve his ball handling and just his offensive game? It's just so up and down and inconsistent.
Yeah.
So there's just a lot of improvement areas for him and just consistency. We'll see turbo 1 week, and then the next week, he goes 1 for 9 or something like that. So consistency is huge. He talked about that. That's what he worked on this summer. So he knows what he needs to work on. And we just need to see it happen in games. They asked him about how many Wizards coaches came up to see him in Israel this offseason, the trainers. He said 2 coaches came up to see him. 2 trainers came up to see him. I remember the time where they told him not to play in FIBA. They were concerned about, can't remember whether it was a groin injury or a hip injury. So the team is really invested in him. The team is invested in him still. The staff is invested in him. They want to see him do really well. This is a contract year. They told him not to go play in FIBA. He ended up not doing it. So he's done everything they asked him to do. So as far as working out, we know he's a hard worker. We've seen him on Instagram, putting up stuff on Instagram, posting him working out late at night after games. When he has a bad game, he'll stay at the gym and work 11 o'clock, midnight. So I can never question Deni's work. I think he's a very hard worker, but he's just got to do it. He's got to be consistent this season.
No, I definitely agree with you, man. He's definitely a hard worker who puts in work, man. But I mean, can't go off those videos, man. Ben Simmons been hitting 3 points for like 5 years now, man. So I mean, we'll see. But I think he's definitely gonna put the work in, man, because he knows it's a contract year. He knows that there's a new front office, and he's got to step it up this year because again, the front office has no loyalty. They didn't draft him. Before they invest an extension, they got to see that his game has evolved. So look, man, I'm rooting for him. Definitely I want to see him put that work in, definitely prove the naysayers, definitely come in and solidify himself. And who knows, he could be a long-term piece, but he's got to be willing to put the work in. And I think he is. So another quote, he said that he feels like he's been here 3 years but he's learned a lot. And if you look at the situation he came in, man, it's harder than I'm gonna say. It was a tough situation because if you look at the situation of the organization, then we had a mixed team of veterans and young guys where they were trying to compete, but yet try to bring young guys along, and that's hard to do. If you look at his first year here, under Scott Brooks, man, he was basically in the corner, a 3-and-D guy without the three. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So Scott Brooks, in my opinion, didn't really utilize him, didn't play him to his strengths, and I think that Wes is starting to. He knows that he's best with the ball in his hands, defensively. So utilizing his best traits as far as a player, I think is the best way to go with Deni, man. So he definitely learned a lot. I mean, he's dealt with a lot of personalities in DC since he's been here, man. He's done so. But it's interesting to hear him say that I've learned. Because, what was it, KP last year was known that they hung out together. He kind of had the European connection. So, he's definitely learning some guys who've been in the league for a while. So, but yeah, again, Deni, this is the ball's in his court. He's got to respond this year. And so if I'm the front office, man, I'm probably going to hold. Is the sample size of the preseason enough for me to invest a long-term deal? Who knows? I mean, like I said, what really is the loyalty of this front office to Deni Avdija and, Johnny Davis and Corey Kispert? But, the difference is Denny's in a contract year. So before they invest long-term, he's got to take that step forward. So if he doesn't preseason, who knows? But even then, even if they wait to the offseason, this organization holds all the cards. He's a restricted free agent. So, they still have the ability to retain him regardless. So, we'll see. It's going to be a wait and see, I think, in DC when it comes to Deni.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and nobody really asked him about starting or come off the bench. Of course, the big thing is him and Corey Kispert, who's going to start the small forward spot. Just asking him how he would feel if he started the season coming off the bench. I don't think he would have a problem with it. He's coming off the bench before. I just kind of wanted to hear that question and that answer from him. If he felt like he was like he should be a shoo-in as a starter, or that he's ready to compete to start against Corey. Another thing that he said, you talked about the contract. We both talked about the contract year. He said, for now, quote, for now, I'm just focusing on working out, just being Deni. He also said, quote, I think everything's going to take care of itself. Obviously, I love DC, but we'll see what's going to happen, end quote. So he loves being here in DC, and he's just focused on working out and being Deni. That's all he can do, just control what he can control. Big contract year for him. He also said, he said, I'm hungry. I'm hungry to succeed as well. And you brought up him being a vet. I think he's the longest tenured Wizard right now, because he was here before Kuz.
Yep.
He was here before everybody else was here. Johnny is probably the second longest tenured Wizard. So we don't have a lot of guys on the roster. There's been so much turnover with the trades and whatnot. So he basically is a veteran as well. He said, I'm hungry to see to really have a winning culture. He also said something about Bilal as well. Yeah, he said, "quote Bilal is a great potential. He's long. He can slide his feet. I can already see me and Bilal switching into people and being the anchor for this team. So that gets me excited about their defense, like playing those guys together. I do want to see West play Bilal and Deni out there together.
Absolutely. If Deni is a long-term piece, him playing beside Bilal in the future, man, is very, very intriguing, man. Because again, Western Cell is running a defensive system. So, we both said that it's going to be intriguing to see if they can find the pieces to implement the system. And Bilal and Deni defensively, I mean, that's going to be a hard. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, I know we're going off the sample size of the summer league, but I mean, that's gonna be a hard lineup to score against with those two in the lineup, man. Because again, I personally watched Denny shut down Giannis. I mean, you really can't shut down Giannis, but he kept them to like 20-some points. But but I mean, building a defensive team, I think they're right on their way to do that, man. So yeah, I think he's saying all the right things. He wants to work on his game. He's hungry. He's got a dog in him. It's just a consistent dog. It's just it comes. Obviously, when he's playing well. He's throwing the X up and he's excited. He's talking junk, and I love it. But when he's down, you see a whole different player. So, I think the biggest thing to look from, as far as Deni, man, is just consistency. Keep that dog in you, even when you're struggling. Keep that dog in you. Keep that intensity. Don't let off, man. Don't take your foot off the gas. Keep that intensity. Contribute in other ways. The shot ain't dropping. Don't get down on yourself. Keep pushing forward and keep that dog up. So, that's what my expectations are for Deni going forward, man.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Yeah. So I like the things that he said, and I think defensively, him and Bilal could be a nasty duo. Just both guys with long arms, long wingspans that really like to move their feet on defense and play with intensity. Bilal looked good defensively in the summer league. I know it's the summer league, but he showed a lot of potential with the block shots, chase down blocks, just his recovery time, rebounding the ball. So Denny's a heck of a rebounder. So yeah, they can wreak some havoc out there defensively. Of course, you may not get much firepower from them offensively, but defensively, I think they could definitely disrupt some guys and wreak some havoc, especially if you play them with DeLon out there too. They really could be disruptive. But we're going to move on to Bilal. But before we do that, today's episode is brought to you by Birddogs. Shout out to Birddogs. They sent us some stuff. I got my Birddogs box right here. Got a nice Yeti cup from them as well. Some nice shorts and some nice pants. Getting ready since the weather's going to change. Wear my Birddog shorts and pants all the time, whether I'm going to play, football, play basketball, going on a date, just anything out there, man. Birddogs definitely is very, very smooth. They fit way better than regular shorts that are made of stiff, restricted cotton. They're nice and they're slim through the thigh and the leg, giving you a truly sculpted look. So they're just really, really smooth as well. So I wear my Birddog shorts and pants all the time. Go to birddogs.com/LockedOnXXX or enter promo code LockedOnXXX at checkout for a free Birddogs water bottle with your order. That's birddogs.com/LockedOnXXX for a free water bottle at checkout. You won't want to take your Birddogs off. We promise you. All right, so let's get to some Bilal quotes right here. So one quote that stood out to me, of course, we talked about him earlier saying that Jordan Poole moved his locker room name plate next to his, and they talk every day. He's been teaching Jordan Poole French as well to start off. But yeah, one thing I'll let you go first with what you thought started out with Bilal.
I'm going to say this. He mentioned that he will play point guard, shooting guard, and small forward. And I gotta be 100 with you, man. I think point guards is something I don't want to see right now. Definitely I see him at small forward just because he's currently a 6'6" and he's still growing. He's definitely going to be a force in the wing. Can he be a taller two guard? Absolutely. What's some few taller two guards? Devin Vassell, man. He's a guy that kind of comes to mind as a taller two guard. But point guard not right now because his dribble's way too high right now. He still has to work on his handles. He has to work on vision. I didn't see a whole lot of vision in summer league. Mostly score wing guys. So yeah, I know they said previously that they wanted to try him out at point guard, but you know how I feel about that, man. I'm just not a big supporter of trying to build a point guard. I mean, you either get a point guard or you don't. I just don't. I don't think there's slim pickings right now where we have to kind of forge a point guard. No, we have point guards. So Don't worry about putting him point guard. I think he's best served as a 2 guard and a small forward. But yeah, that's one quote that kind of rung to me, man, because he's very versatile, man. Kind of like Deni. Deni can play Deni can play kind of guard 1 through 5. So Bilal, these two, like I said, if Deni is a long-term piece, and Bilal obviously is, man, these two could be a nasty defensive tandem, especially if they find the offensive side, man. Because I know they compared Bilal to OG Anunoby, which kind of makes sense if you look at, OG didn't come in the league lighting it up offensively. He kind of came along, and now he's a guy who, you got to fear that 3-point shot now when it comes to OG. So, I think he will evolve. But if you get both of these guys offensively on cue, this is going to be, and especially other factors, but those two are very intriguing going forward, man. But Bilal at the point guard, I ain't feeling it. Not right now, man.
Right. Yeah, and he's also said he's been working on. Bilal said in the presser, he said he has been working on his shot and handle post summer league. Like you talked about, he said he's comfortable defensively. Looking forward to play the 1, 2, and 3. Just looking at the summer league, the handle was really, really high at times. He got ripped by Jarris Walker, lost the ball sometimes here and there as a point guard, had a couple turnovers, but he made some really good plays, some good passes, got to the basket, got to the free throw line a lot. I like how he got to the free throw line and got downhill. Not necessarily playing a point guard, but they did let him play bring the ball up and initiate the offense. And you look at some of his tape and highlights at playing with Wembanyama for the 92 or something like that. That's the name of the team.
Yeah.
There were times where he definitely handled the ball, brought the ball up, led the fast break, did that at times. But I don't see him right now being ready to play point guard. If he does play in the G League, like Wes Unseld Jr. brought up, you can experiment and do that and just see how that goes. Or after the trade deadline, when you possibly trade DeLon and Tyus or whoever may be traded, you can just experiment and let him run the one with the second unit coming off the bench, or maybe even to start off the game. You'll see just how that goes. So there's a lot of experimenting you can do with the young guy. So, he's so young, 18.
Yeah.
He said he doesn't even have his driver's license yet. He used to take the train in France. Can't do that in DC because, of course, they're going to recognize you and everybody's going to come up to him, either ask for an autograph or just bother him, stuff like that. So he talked about that experience. So, but yeah, I mean, at the 1 or the 2, I think that's something that they may want to try developing him with if he does win the G League, and then try it out here after the trade deadline.
Yeah, I don't think I don't really want to see it though. I mean, because to me, I don't see a reason to try to make him a point guard.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Not. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I mean, I just don't see why we need to forge him into a point guard. I mean, we have point guards. It's not like that situation. It's kind of like, I think that's why that was my biggest problem with the whole Bradley Beal running point last year, which is he's not a point guard. We kind of, to my humble opinion, I think that they kind of set him up for failure because Bradley Beal won a point guard, but we kept forcing that. And it's just the same thing. Johnny Davis. I don't think Johnny Davis is a point guard. To put him in a position where you can utilize their best traits, man. Stop trying to forge something. If you want to get point guard minutes, give it to Ryan Rollins. I mean, DeLon Wright's there. I don't see the point of trying to forge him. I definitely see him at a wing and a taller 2 guard. I mean, in the future, man, if Denny's at the 3, Bilal at the 2, and then who knows is at the 4 at the time. I mean, you have the nucleus of a defensive team. So I don't want to see him at the point. I don't see the point. No pun intended of him being on point. I just don't see it, man. I don't really, because I don't think we're in a situation where we have to kind of make a guy into a point guard. There's sometimes you have a guy who's an athlete, right? You kind of hear that in football all the time. A guy's an athlete where you can kind of see if he can evolve to a certain position. But I just don't think he's best served as a point guard. I think that put him on the wing, put him on some of these guys. He's got the size. He's not. You mentioned it earlier. He's 18. He hasn't even hit his. He's still growing. I mean, that's the scary part. With his length right now, he's still growing. So I don't see that a fit at point guard. I think wing is, but to me, wing would be the best fit. But if you want to play him a 2, there are 2 guards who are taller 2 guards. So I think there's a fit there. But keep away from the point, man. I don't want to see it.
Yeah. No, it was funny when they drafted Johnny Davis and Woj tweeted that Johnny Davis was the point guard, and Tommy Shepard said Johnny Davis is a point guard, and Wes Unseld Jr. didn't say that. He didn't necessarily agree with that. So we've seen how that's played out so far. But yeah, I think you can put the ball in his hands. I wouldn't call him Bilal a point guard, but you can, you see him do the pick and roll, run the pick and roll,
Yeah.
initiate offense. But yeah, as far as a full time point guard, definitely don't see that at this point. But yeah, I can see him as a 3 and a 2. Just got to work on his ball handling. So that's something that he definitely really needs to improve because the handle was really, really high at times with against in the summer league. So that was concerning to me. But he improved throughout the summer league and calmed down with turnovers and made better decisions throughout the summer league. But yeah, he's young. It's going to be a slow developmental process with him. So I really want to see how West develops him and how Will Dawkins, what plan they have for Bilal coming up. But we're going to talk about just a couple injury updates and some things that we learned today from the practice with injury updates. But before we do that, we got a quick word from Brandon.
Yes, sir. Tonight's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's right, just a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. And if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get on the action now, like now. The app is easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over and unders, and play. Oh man, I forgot. So visit the FanDuel.com/locked on and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL.
Yes, sir. All right. So real quick before we wrap it up today, Josh Robbins tweeted out that Deni Avdija participated in a portion of the Wizards opening training camp practice today, missing some segments because of back tightness. Wes Unseld Jr. said, as expected, Daniel Gafford with an elbow injury and Landry Shamet toe were held up because of their injuries. Deni had back tightness. So is there any concern level that you had with Deni moving forward?
I mean, we already touched base on Daniel Gafford being out, man, with the lack of depth at center and Shamet. And obviously, we don't want anybody to be injured, but especially with him being a vet that we kind of say that is holding up minutes for young guys. But looking at Deni, this seems to be kind of a reoccurring thing. These injuries here and there. Last year, I got to see how many games he played last year, but he had a healthier year last year. But he's got to work on that, man. I don't know if it's I don't know what the cause is. Is it conditioning? Is it getting in the weight room? But I don't know if it's diet. But young guys, you see it, and it's not just Deni, man. You see this with young guys, man. People talk about Zion with his weight issues. Young guys, you don't see a lot of young guys really putting a lot of money in getting the chef and getting eating right and stuff like this. But to me, it's just you see always just kind of injury issues with Deni every year, right? So I kind of want to see him kind of stem that, get healthier, work on trying to get his body right because this is his year, man. So am I concerned overall? I can't take another one. I mean, was kind of in the Deni real quick with the injuries, man. I can't because once we get another injury, man, then it's going to be interesting to see what this start lineup going forward is. But Deni, I think it's going to be a long-term injury, and I kind of think that Gaff and Shamet should be back by the opener. Now, if they're not, then that's a whole nother subject. But I think we should be all right. But yeah, it's I'm not concerned yet. It's still early in the game. We haven't hit preseason yet, but we'll just kind of try to stem these injuries, man. So I'm not concerned. I'm not concerned yet.
Yeah, I'm not concerned yet. Deni played in 82 games in 2022, played in 76 games in 2023. So he's been pretty durable. It's just the start of the season. He comes in injured.
Yeah.
He was injured playing FIBA, played through an injury, had a slow start last year. And then the year before, he came back from the broken ankle before the playoff, right before the playoff, or really kind of before the Wizards went on their run with Russ and Bradley Beal. He had the nasty ankle injury.
Yeah.
So he kind of starts the season coming off an injury. So that's the only thing with him. But he's been pretty durable for the most part. But yeah, I'm not too concerned. I think Gaff will be ready for the first game of the season. Same thing with Shamet. We'll see. But the center depth is really bad right now. We just don't really have any center depth. So that's the biggest concern with me. But I think we'll see what happens with Deni. We'll see if he plays in the preseason.
Yeah, we'll see. Like I said, it's tough to really see who's going to be available for the opener against the Pacers because very well this injury could be closer to 2 weeks than the 4. as far as Gaff and Shamet. Like I said, I don't wish injury on anybody, but Shamet is kind of that player where it's like he's holding up minutes. So maybe this time, maybe with Johnny Davis take this time to kind of showcase a little bit. But Gaff, that the lack of depth in the center position is a little alarming. Rebuilding or not, you still want to field a somewhat competent team, man. You don't want to, you know what I mean? You want to have depth in positions, rebuilding or contending. And I definitely think that maybe they need to add another player at the center position. There's still some folk out there, man. Bismarck Biyombo's still out there. There's still some guys out there who can solidify depth at the center position. But as far as Deni, like you said, overall in the regular season, he's been very, very durable. So, I don't want to say that, this narrative that he's an injury all the time as far as regular season. But like you said, he kind of comes into the season with injuries here and there. So, and maybe tweak, workout program, make it work out earlier so you get your body right for this time of the year. Just tweak it here and there. I'm not too worried right now, though, overall, because I think he will be ready. So, yeah, but like I said, I don't want to see any more injuries, man. Because once you add a couple more, it's like, oh, Lord, how we rolling, man. But right now, I'm not concerned. I think we're good to go. We definitely have the personnel to let people kind of get their health right, and then we'll go from there.
Yes, sir. So we're going to wrap it up. And next episode, we're going to do some more Media Day press conference. We're going to talk about the Wizards City Edition jerseys as well. We just want to thank you guys for listening and making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get podcasts. Make sure you guys subscribe, hit the notification bell as well. Hell to the Wizards. Peace.